Well, now, it seems to me that we might have to admit that it's our generational differences that actually make us all the same. Because these differences don't really apply until you also have that age difference as well. For example, every generation thinks that they had it harder than everybody else, and you don't quite understand, and you don't know what we're going through. And we've all been there and we've all done that. It's old hat, and you realize when you get older, you can't sit around and frickin' whine about it anymore. You have to just stand up, get on your own feet, look in the mirror and go, hey, they told me that this is the way it was going to be, but nobody told me that after I go to school and yeah, you take on that debt. Yeah, it was your choice. Nobody forced you. So you can't go blaming anybody else for the debt you chose to take for a degree that really in the end isn't going to do a whole lot to get you a job. I mean, how many people work and sit there as a barista now because it's something because they went and got some crappy degree in school that they can't actually find a job for? I mean, a lot of these things are very niche degrees that a lot of people want to take because they thought it was easy or it fell in line with their narrow point of view of the world, which is not how the world works. The world works that you sit there and you go through school and you're taught one thing and you expect it to be a certain way when you get out. And then you come in and guess what? It's not like that. You realize you have to work a lot harder, claw a lot more, fight a lot more to get what you wanted. You were promised this dream and it would all be good. As soon as you went through school, you come out, you're done, you go in the world, and then you get out there and you realize that it was a whole load of bullshit, that everybody blew smoke up your ass and it's tougher out there than you thought it was. Well, guess what? You're not the first people. How do you think they got people from Europe and everything to come over here in the first place? When they were first trying to get people to come over and settle the Americas, they told them that it was a land of opportunity and it was great in lots of places. No one told them that in the north of the country, you're going to freeze and starve to death in the winter, or that there were hostile tribes everywhere because we arrived and picked fights. They were not told any of that. They found that out when they got here. So guess what? Not everybody told you what life was going to be like when you were done and you got out and you finished and now you're out there and it sucks. Yeah, it sucks. It's not supposed to be easy. It has to be difficult because you have to grow up. The problem is you haven't grown up yet. You thought that you'd be done school, you'd get out, you'd have that job, and whoa, you're grown up, you're adult. Well, guess what? The vast majority of people have no idea what they're going to do in life or what they're really doing in life until they're 30, early 30s, some people lucky in the late 20s, and most people never end up in a career for what they actually went to school and studied for. Now, I'm sure there's going to be people in the comments and be like, well, I studied this and I got a great career doing it. Well, good. I'm glad it worked out. But for the majority of people, it does not work out that way. You plan and you get ready and you study and you say you want to do this, and then you make contact with the real world and none of your plans and designs work out as you wanted. That's life. It doesn't work that way. You don't sit there and have an easy pass and you don't enjoy things because it just rolls around and is all comfy and warm and fuzzy when you get out in the world. That is a load of crap that parents taught kids because they didn't want them. And the problem is, and I have to admit, that a lot of us Gen X parents had a problem with teaching our kids a little way because we were essentially completely on our own for the most part. So then we made sure our kids weren't. But I'll tell you this, when it comes to the Gen Z kids and you go out and you say, oh, I can't go out, I can't live on my own. So now they're staying home. You have the one big advantage that we don't. You complain that, oh, well, you guys made all the money. Well, guess what? If it wasn't for the fact that, say, boomers worked extremely hard, Xers worked really hard to get where they were and made some money, that all of a sudden, bam, now you don't have to launch out there and starve to death because you can stay home a little longer or parents are help covering your bills. I mean, I never had parents covering my bills. I was out and I was on my own from 12. Ain't nobody cover my bills. I had to figure out places where I was going to sleep, how I was going to eat. And that's what you do and you get by. But sure as shit, I ain't going to toss my kid out at that age. No way in hell. Mine, she works full time and she's going to school and she stays at home because it's a little easier. It takes pressure off but she pays rent. She pays the same rent as if she was renting an apartment. And that is for the full idea that she gets used to it. She doesn't have to pay it all at once. It comes out, each check or whatever. And she does. And guess what? It takes some stress off. You think that we had it easy and made a whole bunch of money. Here's a little secret for you Gen Z people, okay? Most of us Xers out there working, the last 3 years is when we've made most of our money. My 2 most profitable years were 2021 and 2022. 2020 was pretty good as well. But I mean, like 2020, I came in, I only made like 60 grand. 2021, I came in at just under 300,000. And 2022 came in at about 110. Incomes fluctuate. And that's working in trades, okay? It changes so much all the time. But you see, the problem is a lot of people, when they say made no money then and it was so bad, there was a lot of jobs you could have worked at that time. You can't say everything was shut down because in reality, the only things that were actually truly shut down were anything that resulted in socializing, where public people would meet and have social contact. Those are what they shut down. All the rest never shut down. All the rest was working and you go because, you got to keep the slaves going to keep the country moving and to keep the real economy up and running. But all the other stuff that they shut down, which everybody says, well, no jobs. Well, no, they shut down all the stuff that was essentially recreational activity for the worker. When you look at it, when you look at the heart of it, that's what it was. So you could have worked, you didn't, you chose those that, you were young ones out of the gate. You could have got out there and you could have went in to a construction site or where there were trades and you could have made big buck right away. I mean, you guys weren't going to school. You could have made 60 grand staying at home, but no, you chose not to. And now all of a sudden you have it tougher than everybody else. Oh, house prices are so high. Yeah, inflation and the difference. Yeah, house prices are out of whack compared to income. But you talk about how boomers and early Xers, no. You know what the interest rate on mortgages were in the mid and late 70s? It was like 18%, up to 20% in some cases. Try and do that today. Get a mortgage today with an 18% interest rate. Your great-great-great-great-great-grandchildren would be paying that thing off. It's not going to happen. But yet they manage to do it. So it's not that it can't be done. It's people rather choose to whine and complain and say, oh, woe is me, it is so tough, instead of figuring out a way to do it. What happened to the resilience and ingenuity of people when you come across a problem and they said it was impossible, and then someone went and did it anyway? Because I'm telling you, the impossible is the untried. If you haven't really tried, then in your mind, it's impossible. But I'm not going to go on forever. I'm not going to bitch for 42 hours or 77 minutes or whatever weird time I can come up with at the time. But it just, something ticked me off the other day. So I had to just get in here and I had to go off on this because it makes no sense why everybody whines, but nobody will actually try and fix their situation. You get it? You don't have it worse. Everybody thought they had it worse, but no, nobody had it worse. You know who truly had it worse than anybody as far as I'm concerned? The generation that had to hit the workforce going into the dirty 30s when you sat at like 20 and 25% unemployment. The very first time they had to create things like soup kitchens because they didn't exist before. And they did it in order to keep crime down, hoping that these young men of working age wouldn't start robbing people. That was the reason behind that. It wasn't done because they felt bad and wanted to feed them. It was a safety measure in order to keep people who were going to starve from doing what it took, legal or illegal, to feed themselves. And as such, they kept it up. One more thing. Everyone wants to talk about recycling. You got to look after the environment. Recycle, recycle, recycle. And all these recycle programs we have are absolutely crap. They're BS. They don't mean anything. And they're a complete farce. You really want a recycling program that works 100% and will recycle almost 100% of everything that is out there? Implement the same style of recycling program they had during the Second World War effort when virtually everything was recycled. You want to recycle? Go to that program. That worked. Then they stopped doing it, and now everybody wants to talk about recycling, and most of these recycling programs are scams. All that stuff winds up in the garbage anyway, or burnt in incinerators anyway. It's all false industries to make a buck. Scare people, make a dollar. If people are afraid, you can sell them anything that might protect them. Yeah, I know it's off the wall and different than way out there from what I normally do, but man, something the other day just, grabbed my goat and ground my gears like you wouldn't believe. So I just had to come in and go and let this shit out. Anyway, this is Drac. Till next time, peace out, everyone.